welcome to the 10th Revolution Group Tech Success Podcast, where we bring you insightful conversations with industry-leading tech professionals and experts. My name's Katherine Lord, and today I'm joined by Rob Cutler. A warm welcome to you. Would you like to let our listeners know a little bit more about you, your firm, and more about Nexus AML in general?
No, sure. And thanks a lot, Katherine, for the invitation. Really, excited to be here. So I, for my sins, I'm a qualified accountant. And for 10 years, I was also a forensic accountant, doing a lot of fraud investigations, money laundering investigations, both in the UK, Europe, but also I spent 2 years in South Africa. And then when I came back from South Africa, I then became an MLRO in industry, so money laundering reporting officer. And I've worked for various organizations, a lot of them investment banks, but also insurance firms. Just a different experience. I then had a 7-year career at KPMG as a partner, leading the financial crime team there. Left KPMG to become global head of CDD at ING, the Dutch bank. Unfortunately, that was during COVID. And so it wasn't the experience I would have loved it to have been, because it would have been awesome. I mean, it was really interesting anyway, but they were really interested in the whole tech and the ability to techify a lot of their CDD. And I would have loved to have been more part of that. But unfortunately, COVID kind of got in the way. I then joined Efficient Frontiers International, which is now called Nexus AML. And what we do is we focus on financial crime operational support for firms. But the reason for changing from EFI to Nexus is to reflect our increased use of technology. That is supporting our analysts with the work that clients have to do, but using technology to essentially supercharge what they do. And one of the things that we've found is that we're able to become a lot more efficient. Quality has also increased, but also importantly for clients, the price point has reduced as well. So it's a really interesting combination of humans and technology, and how technology can help humans.
Yes, absolutely. It's really interesting to hear your take on everything today. So, intro to kind of AI. What simple practical steps could an MLRO or compliance officer really take? That's a kind of big question to start us off.
Yeah, no, it is, and it is the eternal question that I think everybody is being asked by their boards, by senior management of the financial crime teams, and also compliance. Yeah. AI is, in theory, meant to solve everything. It's the new, industrial revolution. It's going to take everybody's jobs away. The reality is that a lot of firms are struggling to work out how to implement AI in the most effective way. And one of the things I would say to a lot of MLROs and compliance officers is to start simple. And what I mean by that is identify the opportunities for AI tech to help, and don't try and boil the ocean straight away. Because that is, I think, one of the challenges that a lot of firms face, is trying to do too much too quickly. Whereas actually what you should do is focus on the simple stuff, get that right, learn from it, understand what the benefits are, what the improvements could be made, then do something else, learn from that, then do something else and learn from that. So I think the one practical thing I would say to firms is identify the processes that could benefit from AI. And those are the repeatable, simple processes that a lot of firms have to do, unfortunately. Work on that, get AI, get tech to improve that, and then move from there. I think the other thing that a lot of firms can do, and a lot of individuals can do, is speak to their peers in the industry and actually learn from others. Because there are lots of people trying this, lots of people failing at it, but there are successes out there. And so why not speak to your peers and understand what works? And also the other thing is, don't be afraid to use experts. So a lot of people, a lot of firms are looking to try and build it all in-house. But building it all in-house is great if you've got incredibly talented individuals, which I'm sure a lot of firms do, but you're then only limited, or you're limited to what's in the organization. And if you use third parties, if you use experts, they can bring a lot of other industry experience and expertise to um, help you solve the problem. So I think the three things is start simple, speak to peers, and don't be afraid of using external experts to help.
Oh no, absolutely. I think sometimes people see peers as kind of slight competition when actually you can all learn from each other. You need that support network around you, don't you?
Yeah.
So just with regards to sort of the biggest challenges in financial crime, tell me a little bit more. What's your viewpoint on that currently?
Yeah, so it's an eternal challenge, and that is just making sure that the data, making sure that the records that organizations have are up to date and are as accurate as possible.
Mhm.
So, one of the real challenges for firms is having clean data, because if you have clean data, it means that you can then run your processes, run your systems over the data, and hopefully get better results. It is a classic, rubbish in, rubbish out. So if you've got poor customer data, it means that refresh, or if you're trying to do perpetual KYC becomes more difficult with poor data. But if you're having to do refresh every year or every 2 years, 3 years, you're almost having to restart each time if you've got poor data. It also means that your sanction screening engines don't work very well, because you'll then be getting a lot of false positive hits because the data isn't very good and it can't compare good data with external data. And then the other thing is transaction monitoring. What firms are trying to do is to try and identify unusual activity, and again, if the data's poor, you won't be able to necessarily identify unusual activity and then potential suspicious activity. So one of the goals of firms is to identify unusual activity to help law enforcement, and if you can't do that in an effective way, then part of what we're trying to do is failing. So it's about data. It's about making sure that data is clean within organizations. I think sanctions is an eternal problem. I mean, we see what's happening in the global politics, and sanctions are often used as political tools. And so, whenever I speak to sanctions individuals, they do say that it is hard work trying to keep up with what's going on. With lists being added all the time of people to screen who's good, who's bad.
Yeah.
Um, and it's both individuals, but also geopolitical, but also trade as well. So trade sanctions are becoming a tool of choice for governments, and that's becoming a challenge. And then you've got fraud. So fraud is a big issue, because firms lose money when they're defrauded or their customers are defrauded. And so
Mm.
a lot of effort is being spent and will continue to be spent on trying to reduce fraud. And I think that's where technology is becoming interesting in the anti-fraud space, because a lot of criminals are using technology, AI, to defraud customers and defraud organizations. So it'll be AI against AI, and that's the anti-fraud versus the people trying to commit the fraud. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. People have seen deep fakes. You hear of people able to fool organizations with their facial recognition and voice recognition and so on. So firms have to be really clued up as to how they can help their staff
Yes.
spot fraud.
Yeah, they have to be a step ahead. The fraudsters, don't they? It's
Yeah.
yeah, slightly terrifying times, but all completely make sense. What tech should firms really consider then? What's their kind of first basic sort of steps or kind of ongoing steps?
Yeah, so it goes back to what I was saying before about keeping it simple, because especially in regulated organizations, one of the big challenges that firms have is being able to demonstrate that the tech that they're using, the AI that they're using, is effective, but also importantly auditable. So can a regulator, can internal audit, can they understand what the system is doing? But also importantly, MLROs, financial crime people, need to be able to demonstrate to their senior management, but also to regulators, that what they are using is potentially or hopefully better than what they've currently got.
Yes.
Because otherwise, why would you use AI? Why would you use tech if you can't demonstrate that it's better than what you've currently got? Because then the simple answer is stick with what you've currently got. So rules-based engines and so on. So it has to be auditable, has to be able to demonstrate that it's better than what you've got. Otherwise, why use it? But then you also need to make sure that you've got good governance around this. So it's making sure that you have the right sign-offs, but not that you go glacial, because that is one of the big challenges, is just being too slow. So it needs to be good governance at pace so that firms can benefit from AI, from technology improvements, in order to help reduce financial crime within their organizations, but also within society as a whole.
Yeah, no, interesting. So, something I was thinking about, like I'd signed a big sort of statement of work terms with a large fintech, I remember in COVID times. I was reintroduced to a kind of a contact via a colleague. And so we put together a kind of roadmap for a financial crime team, and I suppose quite a lot of these firms are under scrutiny from the FCA. They're continually stung by kind of 166s, but it seems to be like a repeated cycle. Changing of senior heads, the risks don't really kind of go away, and I suppose the project hiring sort of ebbs and flows. So, how would AI completely kind of replace those people when they're really meant to be sort of subject matter experts and auditing what the FCA are really seeing as kind of, I suppose, big baddies and big key risks?
Yeah, I mean, I stand to be challenged by anybody, but I don't think AI is going to replace everybody.
Yeah,
Fortunately,
yeah,
there's always going to be a need for subject matter experts,
yes,
because the technology is only as good as the people that are operating it.
yes.
So you can have the best technology in the world, but if you don't have good operators, then it kind of fails. So there's always space for clever individuals to be
Mm-hmm.
supported by AI and technology. And what AI and technology can definitely do is take away some of the more mundane, simple work, so that
Yes.
it allows the SMEs to focus on, okay, well, how do we improve this? What stuff are we not looking at? What are the other things that we should be doing? What could criminals be doing to abuse our organization? So it's
Mm.
allowing individuals to think more about the problems and how to solve the problems. So AI and tech will take away a lot of the more basic stuff to allow
Yes.
people to focus on the more value added stuff.
Which absolutely makes sense, because I would say a lot of our administration or kind of more basic operations may be led by AI in the recruitment sector, but you still need the deep knowledge, the deep relationships, so that business is not done transactionally. I don't think it's possible either to be totally replaced, which is good.
Yeah, and
Um,
I agree. I mean, in the recruitment world, there is still a lot to be said for having that human to human interaction. So if it's all done over, computers, all done by AI, there is a real risk that you're going to be missing the best people for
yes.
the job.
Mhm.
There is a risk that clever people are able to exploit the technology and AI within recruitment to get the jobs, and they won't necessarily be the best people. So you still need that human element.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I think also it misses a very large area of the market,
Yeah,
from an ED&I perspective. We have got firms or clients that are using it to kind of test and vet, but it's only a stage of the process. And I
I
think
agree.
I always agree to meeting in person as well. So just with regards to kind of game changers, everybody always wants to know the game changer, don't they? Tell us, last couple of points.
Yeah, and I apologize for saying it again, but it's firms that can keep it simple. So it is identifying those simple things that can be done. So one of the things that I find, and this is not meant to be a criticism of firms, but it is something I've seen, is that there are technology firms who have got brilliant ideas. They've got great ideas and they've got amazing technology. The problem is they don't necessarily understand the problem. And so
Yes.
the important thing is to make sure that firms are basing their um, technology, their efforts, their AI on real world, real life experience. So the firms that can keep it simple, but then also have that real world experience, I think will be successful and
Yes.
able to innovate at pace as well. I mentioned before about good governance. It's making sure that you've got good governance that allows you to innovate at pace. So it is making sure that firms are, yeah, innovating at pace but safely.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I would say that a lot of the people that we work with are those tech professionals. They completely understand how to develop or code, etc. But they're working with people like yourself or people, financial crime compliance people in the market to actually kind of get to the deep root of how they can solve the problem using tech, because
Yeah,
otherwise it's just not effective, is it? And I actually think our data and AI practice is probably our busiest practice now across the UK, and a lot of it is also contract because it's moving so quickly. People need that expertise very swiftly on site and
yeah,
for a period of time as well.
yeah. No, I agree. And you know, there are lots and lots of really clever people out there, and it's just trying to make sure that you find them.
Yeah, no, and we can definitely help that. Brilliant. All right. Well, appreciate you joining me today, Rob. It's been really good to talk and get your kind of insights, etc. And hopefully we'll welcome you back in the future.
Good. Yeah, excellent. Thanks a
Excellent.
lot.